Week 10 quarterback rankings. Let's start going over these guys to help make you have the best lineup possible. Let's go ahead and throw up the rankings on this side here. We're going to start here at number 10, talk about Sam Howell taking on that Miami Dolphins defense who ranks 22nd against opposing quarterbacks. They're going to be in some type of show where they're going to need to be able to throw the football just to even attempt to keep pace with this high-powered offense of Tua and Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle and company. So they're going to have to throw the ball quite a bit against a defense that you can beat this Dolphins defense, but I'm pretty sure the biggest reason why they rank 22nd is because people have to throw the ball and you can't just run and gun on these guys all day long. It's mostly on the gun part and less on the run part because you have to keep track of all of these players, whether it's, Tyreek Hill going down the field, Jaylen Waddle catching all the dink and dunks. It doesn't really matter. Sam Howell, he's had kind of an up and down type of season, especially in his first season being the quarterback for this team. So, we're going to have to see what we get from this guy, but he does land at number 10 in my rankings because he's going to be in a negative game script for most of the day, and he's going to need to throw the ball quite a bit. We have seen some flashes from Sam Howell and what he's been able to do. I do like his weapons. He's got Terry McLaurin out there. I like Logan Thomas at the tight end position as well. So I think he has the weapons to be able to put up some type of numbers. Do I think he's going to win the game? Absolutely not. I think the Dolphins run away with this one. But in order to try to keep pace with this guy, you might see Sam Howell throw up 300 yards passing with a couple touchdowns, and I wouldn't be surprised if that ends up happening. So that's what lands Sam Howell at number 10 on my list. At number 9 here, let's talk about Trevor Lawrence taking on that Cincinnati Bengals defense who ranks 19th against opposing quarterbacks. I like Trevor Lawrence and what he's been able to do. He's got some weapons. It looks like he's finally starting to use Calvin Ridley in this ball game a little bit. A lot of it was just Christian Kirk, and really had a hot start, right? But then it started fading off a little bit. But you start seeing Calvin Ridley now being a part of this offense. Evan Ingram at the tight end position, and you have Travis Etienne in the backfield. I think it's looking good for this offense. Cincinnati, let's just face it, they lost Joe Burrow. They lost a lot of things, T. Higgins and things. Jamar Chase is not able to put anybody on his back because the quarterback play is just not very good there. So they're missing a lot. It's going to be a lot of Trevor Lawrence taking control. They may have a lot of opportunities on offense because the Bengals may be seeing a lot of 3 and outs just because they can't really move the ball very much. So it bodes well definitely for Trevor Lawrence to be able to put up a solid fantasy stat line against the Cincinnati Bengals that lands him at number 9 on my list. Coming at number 8, let's talk about Kyler Murray. He's taking on that Pittsburgh defense, ranks 8th against opposing quarterbacks. Now, I do like Kyler Murray's what able to do. He shook off some of his rust as he come through. Now he's starting to build some rapport not only with Trey McBride. He likes it. He likes his wide receivers, with Brown at the wide receiver position, and we even see some Dortch action with Michael Wilson being injured. So I do like Kyler Murray. He uses his feet. He's mobile. I think he's somebody that can get you some fantasy points. Pretty reliable, and against the Pittsburgh team, I think it's going to actually be a pretty good matchup because the Pittsburgh offense isn't what it used to be with Big Ben. Now, Kenny Pickett's got to really start to prove himself. He has the weapons, he's just not putting it together. They ended up firing Canada first week last week. We saw without that offensive coordinator, we saw him use the tight end quite a bit. Pat Freiermuth had a big game, so we'll see if they can continue to develop like that. But I think overall Kyler Murray lands at number 8 in my list because it's going to be a dink and dunk, back and forth type of matchup, and I do like the mobility that Kyler Murray does give you, kind of like a safe floor. But that's what he lands at number 8. Let's go ahead and move over to number 7. We're talking about Jared Goff taking over that New Orleans Saints defense who ranks 13th against opposing quarterbacks. I do like the situation. Now, they do rank 13th, but there's a lot of injuries here. Marshawn Lattimore is probably going to miss the game. We had a lot more injuries all around the secondary. They're just not a very healthy team, not a very good overall team. The offense looks to be turning the ball over quite a bit. So I think this is something that Jared Goff can get out to a hot start. They are a very hot team. The Saints are the exact opposite, and it's no surprise if Goff goes out there, throws up 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. So I do like Jared Goff this week. If you have him, I would definitely start him into your lineup. He makes number 7 right now on my top quarterbacks for this week. Moving right along, let's go over to number 6. We're going to move over to Justin Herbert. Now he's taking on that Patriots defense who ranks 7th against opposing quarterbacks. I like Herbert overall, right? He's not having the season that we're used to him seeing. We're used to seeing, 50 plus, passing touchdowns and really dominating the field. He's having a little bit of an off year, but that's okay. He's still able to put up the fantasy points for you. If you have Justin Herbert, you're not benching this guy. And against a New England defense, you can't help but to love this situation. I think they are going to dominate the Patriots. The problem is that we need to see Herbert get a lot of yards early on, because in the fourth quarter, they're probably going to be handing the ball to Eckler quite a bit just to run out the clock, because New England has no chance to even keep up with this high-powered offense of the Chargers, in my opinion. But that lands Justin Herbert at number 6 in my list. Now let's go over the top 5. At number 5, we're going over with Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is somebody that I really like. I mean, it doesn't matter if he was Mr. Irrelevant. He has shown that he belongs in the NFL and a top talent at the quarterback position in the NFL. Brock Purdy's got plenty of weapons, whether it's Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. You got George Kittle at the tight end position, and definitely Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. So this game against Philadelphia, they're going to want to know and show the world that they belong, right? And Philadelphia ranks 31st in the NFL against opposing quarterbacks, but they don't have a chance, I think, of stopping Brock Purdy. I think that the 49ers will also struggle stopping Jaylen Herz. So this is more of I think you're going to see a high-scoring game overall. These two defenses are very, very good defenses, but the offenses, I think, are very underrated. So Purdy, look for Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle really get involved. I think for the most part, Christian McCaffrey will be held in check. The Eagles have a very good run defense, so it's going to be up to Purdy to really throw the ball and put the team on his shoulders, and I think he can do that. So if you have Brock Purdy, you may not want to bench him this week against Philadelphia. I think it's a great, pristine matchup for him to put up solid fantasy points, especially now that we're kind of cruising into the playoffs for your fantasy leagues. I think Brock Purdy will set you up really good for some success this week. It lands him at number 5. Move over to number 4 here, talking about Tua Tagovailoa. He's going against that Washington defense, who ranks 32nd, dead last against opposing quarterbacks. I love this matchup. When you got somebody like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle on your team, you could just start chunking the ball up. And against the Washington Commanders defense, who can't stop anything whatsoever, I think this is an amazing play to have Tua into your starting lineup. I think he's going to score a ton of points. I think that I don't care about them blowing out the Commanders. I think it's going to be good enough to where even Tua by halftime is going to be having quite a few points for you. Tua is easily, I know he's probably higher in a lot of other people's rankings, but in mine, I put him at 4. I think he's a great play, though. Don't get it twisted. He's phenomenal. If you have him on your team, put him in your lineup. Let's go over number 3 here. I'm going over with Patrick Mahomes. I was going back and forth between Tua and Mahomes. Who should be 3, who should be 4? I'm going to go ahead and go here with Patrick Mahomes just based on the pedigree. And he's going against this Green Bay team that's a lot better than the Commanders team that Tua is gonna be playing against. So I think Patrick Mahomes, they're not this high-powered Chiefs team that we're all used to seeing, especially in fantasy football. So I think that the Green Bay Packers have a better chance of keeping the game close than the Commanders have of keeping it close with Miami, which would make me put Patrick Mahomes at number 3. I think he'll have plenty of passing yards to go around. He's obviously, he doesn't have the weapons that he's used to. It's pretty much Travis Kelce and another plethora of garbage. So, you know, it's one of those things where if you start one of Patrick Mahomes' pass catchers, whether or not talking about Travis Kelce, but all the other guys, the MVSs, the Sky Moores, any of these guys, it makes you so upset that it makes you want to go out there and just throw your whole computer into the trash can. That's how mad it can make you sometimes, because you don't really know who to start. But overall, Patrick Mahomes, he can get the job done. He's a very good fantasy quarterback overall. Again, having a bottom year from what we're used to seeing, but still a very good quarterback. Lands on number 3 in my list. Go over number 2 here. We're going to go over Jaylen Herz. I know a lot of people may have him at number 1. I have him at number 2 this week. Jaylen Herz in a really good game. I wouldn't say the best matchup for him going against that San Francisco 49ers defense, who ranks 3rd against opposing quarterbacks. But Jaylen Herz is going to have to put the team on his back if he wants to beat this 49ers defense. This is a rough defense, especially after they acquired Chase from the Commanders. This is a formidable front, and sometimes the offensive line sometimes can break down, and then Jaylen Herz gets put under a lot of pressure, and I think the 49ers have a chance to beat the Eagles. So Jaylen Herz is going to have to get the ball out quickly and throw the ball quite a bit. I think overall it's a really good game. You're not going to stop Jaylen Herz. You're going to only hope to really slow him down. But Jaylen Herz, phenomenal play. He's got all the weapons around him, whether it's A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith. It doesn't matter. He's got the weapons to make it happen, and such a high floor with him and his rushing ability. So definitely lands him at number 2. And a surprise to maybe some, number 1 on my list, We're talking about CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud for the Houston Texans have been showing great strides and been able to have a potent offense even as a rookie. Going against that Denver Broncos defense, ranking 24th against opposing quarterbacks, I think is a phenomenal play. Tank Dell is starting to build a huge rapport. He already likes Nico Collins. You've got the tight end Dalton Schultz. You've got weapons all around them. Even the running backs, and they're serviceable, right? They're serviceable, whether it's Pierce or Singletary, it doesn't matter. Overall, pretty serviceable. This is kind of like what you see with the Cowboys, where they're more of a pass first type of offense. It's starting to go to where they're leaning all on pass first at Houston. They're giving CJ Stroud the reins to be the fantasy quarterback, and that makes him at number 1 right here. He's throwing up 300 yards like it's no tomorrow. I'm telling you, he's doing very well. I'm impressed with this guy. I was very high on him coming out into college out of Ohio State. I think he did very well there, had nice poise, and now he's starting to show that in the NFL. Had a bit of a rough start to kind of learn, but now that the game is kind of slowing down for him, makes him a dominant play. Easily lands CJ Stroud as number 1 on my list for week 13. As always, I appreciate you guys watching the video. Hit the subscribe button. We're putting out videos, multiple videos each and every week to help you dominate your leagues, hopefully put the best lineup possible, and ultimately hoist up that champion. That way you can brag to all your league mates. But can't wait to see you guys on the next video. Hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. We'll see you guys next time.